Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being here. For the last few months, we've heard a lot of rhetoric at the federal level about tariffs, which impacted our close allies and friends to the north, Canada. It's no secret Canada is an important trading partner to the United States, and especially to us here in Vermont. And as I said before, I don't believe increasing tariffs on them in particular was a good idea. Just yesterday, Steve Wright, President and General Manager of J-Peak, testified in Congress about the impact J-Peak has had on their business in just a few short months. He said between January and April, hotel reservations from Canadian visitors dropped 45%. Season passes purchased by Canadians are down 35%. And visits to Vermont.com, which is used by many traveling from Canada, are down 70%. Other states in the region are feeling the impacts as well. So on Monday, Northeast governors and myself and members of my cabinet will travel to Boston to meet with 6 Canadian premiers from Ontario to Newfoundland and Labrador. We'll be discussing issues impacting all of us: tourism, energy, trade, and more. And I'm hopeful we'll continue to strengthen the relationship we have with our friends and allies. And while there's been a lot happening on the national level, there's also quite a bit going on here in Vermont, which is why I'm sure most of you are here. At the beginning of the session, I laid out my vision for transforming Vermont's education and finance system. I said we had to be bold together, and it's clear this work has been very difficult. Transforming how we deliver and fund education isn't simple, as we've seen over the last few weeks. But I'm happy to say we've reached an agreement with Senate and House conferees. Now, to be clear, this bill isn't perfect, and there's much more work to do. But I believe it will put us on a path to stabilize property tax pressure for working Vermonters, while also putting us on a path to much-needed governance reform that will unlock more opportunities for our kids. As I said from the beginning, we have the opportunity in Vermont to make our state more affordable, which while also ensuring more of our dollars directly benefit our students and schools. If this bill passes next week, it's just the start. The work needed next year will be just as challenging, if not more. But to get to that work, we must pass H-454 first. So I want to thank the House and Senate conferees, the Speaker, and Pro Tem for their commitment and compromise, as well as Connor Kennedy and Ashley Moore. I'd also like to thank my whole team for their work: Secretary Saunders, Deputy Secretary Briggs Campbell, Deputy Commissioner Rebecca Samaroff, and Jake Feldman from the Tax Department, Secretary Sarah Clark, and my Policy Director Jason Malucci, and others that have helped get us across the finish line. We'll engage with legislators over the weekend to bring them all the details on the bill in preparation for their return next week. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What was the final piece for you that brought you to yes?
Well, there was pieces all along the way, and there was a lot of work that had to be accomplished. Independent schools was important to Senate conferees, important to us as well. The classifications were important to me, and making sure that we had protection so that they weren't a default to the classifications in the end without votes being taken in the House and Senate. So we got through a lot of that, and again, it's not perfect, but I think it's workable.
I think some of the provisions here, looking into maps, looking into the weights, I think you just mentioned the property value, or the potential tax on second homes. Who knows if that will come to be? But I think some Vermonters might say, is this enough? Is this going to bring down my property taxes this year? I mean, what would you say to Vermonters that are concerned about this year or maybe even next year?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to level set. This isn't going to have instantaneous results. this doesn't go into effect, this transformation goes into effect over three years. So it won't be until 29 that we really see the benefits of this. But if you look at what we'd be spending 3 or 4 years from now versus what we believe we'll be spending under these conditions, it's quite dramatic. It's hundreds of millions of dollars less. So with that in mind, we believe that it will stabilize property tax rates in the future, but also providing quality education for our kids. Anything I'm missing on that?
You were pretty critical of the House's formula when it was initially passed out of that chamber. That is also, what the Senate adopted with, I think, a revision when it comes to sparsity, but otherwise it's the same formula. What changed between then and now? Why are you comfortable with this?
Again, there were numerous changes along the way. The weights and so forth are still areas that we have to work on. Those are going to have to be worked on in the next session. So with the amount of work we've done together, the trust we've built in terms of knowing that we're going to have to make some changes along the way has given me the comfort to move forward with this. Again, knowing this is a transformation over the next few years, there'll be a lot of opportunity to make the adjustments necessary to get to where we need to be. Still believe that we're spending, the base amount is too much, but again, in an area of compromise, we agreed to start with this, knowing again that this isn't the end, this is just the beginning.
Right. So I guess you're comfortable signing on now because those numbers, fair to characterize them as provisional.
They will be changing in the future. So again, we had to start somewhere. We need to get through this initial phase, then get to the next phase to make some more changes along the way. So again, we got a lot of work to do. As I said in my remarks, this next session might be as difficult, if not more difficult, than this session.
What will you be doing this weekend? Of course, it has to pass. The House and Senate bodies have to concur with these changes. That's 3 conferees. That's 3 senators. What will you be doing to get to 15 or more?
Yeah, my team will be engaging, just providing information to at least the Republican caucuses and possibly some members on the other side as well. And I know the Speaker and the Pro Tem will be doing the same in their conferees. So it's, again, it's a lot of work to make sure that we provide all the details and information that we have so that they can make up their own minds. And they're going to have to look at their own districts and determine whether they can vote for it or not. I don't believe this is a slam dunk by any stretch. There will be Republicans that won't vote for it, and there'll be Democrats who won't vote for it as well.
What parts of the bill would you point to show Vermonters they'll be better off from an affordability standpoint in the future?
Well, again, just the lower amount we're spending in the base formula. It's still going to be higher than it should be. But again, as we move forward, we're hoping to craft this into an approach with the number of districts that we have that will find the savings we need to provide, again, more equity, but cost control as well.
What makes you confident that, spending will stabilize, taxes will stabilize, if the numbers in the formula right now are placeholders? Right?
Well, again, it's a starting point, and as I've said, that I don't believe we should be spending any more than we are today. So that's the starting point, and then we'll go from there. I believe that we'll be spending less, and our projections show that we'll save, again, hundreds of millions of dollars over the next few years.
There were times this week when it looked like the conferees might not be able to get past their differences on, public schools, private schools. Did you or your team play a role in breaking that deadlock?
I wouldn't say we had a role in that, other than being the sounding board for both sides. We were here last night until 8 o'clock or so, and I didn't know as we were going to get a deal then. But I think just giving people the space to have the conversations, not trying to force the issue, made a difference. And again, there was a lot of compromise on both sides in order to get this across the finish line.
All right, we'll move over to the phones now. Ed Barber, Newport Daily Express.
Yeah, good afternoon, Governor. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to you about the foundation formula and its impact on the town of Derby. I just want to return to that, not just Derby, but the town of Holland. It's just a small rural community. Their tax rate under that particular formula would go up 35 cents. My question is before you sign this bill, is your administration going to take a look at the foundation formula and see if it's consistent with the Supreme Court's ruling on the Brigham decision, bring equity of funding to different school districts?
We believe that it passes the constitutional test in regards to providing equity. We will have information for legislators so they can determine what this does to their particular district as well.
Any idea when that would come out?
We're trying to get the information together so that the legislators will have it over the weekend.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Keith Whitcomb, Rutland Herald.
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thanks, Keith. We'll go back to the room.
There's widespread protests planned for tomorrow, pushing, I think it's called No King's Day or something to that effect, pushing back on a lot of the policies from the Trump administration. What's your understanding of what's going on? Will there be a law enforcement perspective? What is your message to Vermonters?
Well, hopefully we'll continue our reputation as having peaceful protests, and that's key. Believe in the First Amendment right to organize, engage, and voice your opinion. But we want to keep the community safe as well. So I believe that will happen. We haven't heard of anything, we're monitoring the situation, but we haven't heard that there's anything planned that would be counter to that. And again, just want people to exercise their right to dissent, but make sure they're doing it in a safe manner.
You've spoken throughout the year about how the closer balance of power in both chambers results in a different style of lawmaking. Do you feel like the agreement you've spoken to on the education bill is that emblematic of the kind of compromise you've been looking for?
I don't believe 2 years ago we would have had this opportunity, that we would have been at the table together to get to a point where we would have this transformational change in education that we're going to see today. That's, I think, is essential to making sure that we have something that's affordable for Vermonters in the future. So I think it's been beneficial to have this balance of power, so that we're all at the table and we need each other in order to get the legislation passed.
Governor, today members of the group Migrant Justice were in front of the State House celebrating your signing of S-127, the housing bill, and the protections it will put in place against housing discrimination. Do you have any thoughts on that part of the bill, and is that a part in particular that you're proud of in signing this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a great, again, another opportunity where the legislature and the executive branch came together and provided for the needs of Vermonters.
Governor, do you have any comments on what's happening in LA and what Governor Gavin Newsom is going through right now in the administration?
Yeah, obviously we are all watching what's happening in Los Angeles, and it's been a trying time, I'm sure, from all perspectives. But there is that constitutional type question that's been brought up, and I think the courts will have to decide on that in terms of calling out the National Guard without the check-in with the governor. So we'll see what happens. It's for the court to decide at this point, but it seems as though things have calmed down and they have everything under control, and so that's good news.
It looks like we have one more question from Ed. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, Governor, I just want to clarify, when you send out this this graph or chart of the spending by school district, will it include a projection over the next 3 years so we can see what this transformation will look like?
We have a chart. I'm not sure if we'll put that out at this point, but we'll reflect on that. I'm just not sure what we can share and what we can't.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be my question too, is, yeah, will those numbers that you're sending to lawmakers also be going out to the press and the public, and if no, why?
Well, I know it's tax department information, so that's why I just want to make sure that we're able to share that in whole. But if we can, we will.
I mean, it's not like it's people's tax
Yeah. Again, I just want to check with the tax department. I'm not saying no, we can't. I'm sorry.
I said you're the boss.
Yeah, but I'm not the tax commissioner. So I just want to check with them, make sure it's okay.
You're not planning to speak at the No Kings protests. Obviously, there are a number of high-profile Vermont politicians will be speaking. Not among them.
Well, I think everyone knows my feelings about this current president, and I don't think I can add anything to what will be already happening. So, again, there'll be about 50, as we've seen, about 50 of these gatherings throughout Vermont, so I'm sure their message will be clear.
Governor, I also wanted to ask real quick about your veto of de-earth that bill. It's received some criticism from folks saying that's a rubber stamp on the hotel motel program. Do you have a response to those criticisms?
Yeah, I was clear from the beginning with that we weren't. The line in the sand for me was that it wouldn't spend more than we're spending today. That bill, in conjunction with other spending, was going to be about $7 million more than we're spending today. So that was one concern. Again, I've said as well throughout when I heard about this initiative from the House that it was interesting, but there would have to be a lot of parameters in place in order to move forward with it. And I didn't think there was enough parameters in place to move forward. And we received a lot of feedback from existing shelters that said, you should veto this. This isn't moving in the right direction. So with all that said, I thought a veto was necessary, and we should pick up, there's some good parts to it. We should pick up where we left off if they don't override the veto, and move forward next year.
You mentioned your work out of town on Monday. Will you be back in this building at all? And if not, does that pose a problem for whatever wrangling might occur as they try to get this over the finish line?
Yes, it's unfortunate that I didn't set the date when you have all the like 6 premiers and 6 or 7 governors on the same, trying to get to the same date and the same at the same time. It's difficult to line all that up. So that was the date. I'm going down in the morning, and I may not stay for the whole day, depending on what's happening here, and then we'll be back. So it may be just a quick down and back from me.
If the vote fails on Monday and H 454 doesn't make it through the House and the Senate and, you know, go to your desk, would you call lawmakers back?
I would, it doesn't mean the bill is dead, because it's just the Senate or the House and the House voting on whether they agree with the conference committee's report. So the bill is still active, so it can be acted on further. So we'll take one step at a time, but yes, it's that important.
Governor, you mentioned this being one of the most difficult, thorny issues. I mean, you've been in the State House for 20-ish or so years. Just how would you gauge just what this process has been like the past 2-3 years about property taxes and education, like difficulty-wise in terms of other issues like pensions or opioids or others?
You know, this is obviously, this has probably been as difficult an issue as anything we've faced over the last few years, and leaving the pandemic aside. I mean, that's just a different animal. But this has been a difficult issue. But there have been many difficult issues that legislature and governors have had to address over the years, and some of them are the same. Act 60 wasn't easy. Act 46 wasn't easy. There's been many issues that have been problematic for both the executive branch and the legislature to get through. So this, from our standpoint, this has been difficult, but at the same time, again, the amount of cooperation we've had, the just being able to talk things through with legislative leaders has been good. All right, thank you very much.